Everybody be cool. This is a rubbery.
Any of you fucking pricks move, and I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. You crushed it. You're an actress. Well done. I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. I'm excited about this episode. It's a weird one. We're changing up the format.
Yes, we are.
We're going to do, we had the idea of doing a soundtrack, or our guest had the idea of doing like a movie soundtrack, and then we just ran with it. And now we've had the crazy idea that we're doing soundtracks from 1994. A seminal year in movie making. Obviously, Pulp Fiction, maybe my favorite movie of all time. But it's a fun year. Like going over these movies. So here are the movies we're gonna do. Can I introduce them up the top?
Sure.
We're gonna do The Lion King. We're gonna do Pulp Fiction. We're gonna do Forrest Gump, The Crow, Natural Born Killers, Reality Bites, and Above the Rim. So 7 movies. And I was thinking about, like, at the beginning of 1994, I was a junior high school basketball player with dreams of playing in the NCAA tournament. And by the end of 1994, I was a sullen high school kid writing poetry in his notebook looking for a lead guitarist. Like, it was just a massive shift from January to December of 1994.
You're blowing my mind. I cannot fathom you being a basketball star.
I wasn't a basketball star. No, I played in a tiny like junior high school on the plains of Canada. So I was good in that time and place.
Yeah.
Very, very bad in any other time and place. But yeah, in January 1994, I had a Georgetown Hoyas jersey, which was my absolute favorite possession. I had my hair clipped in the, you can look for, like, do a Google image search for Eric Montross.
Okay.
He was a basketball star at North Carolina in 1994. And he had just like this horrible, like, shaved the sides of his head. So I had that going on.
Oh,
and then by the end of 94, I was all like flop pop and wearing all black and band t-shirts, and just like 12 months that changed my life. 1994.
The power of movies and music, man.
So our guest today, do you want to give him a big introduction? An old friend of ours from the comedy days.
Yes, he was Houston's Funniest Comic 2008. I'm going to go ahead and let him in, and then I'm going to embarrass him and run down his massive list. Chase, are you sideways? What is happening here?
Chase is walking on the walls.
I know. You're sideways.
Hey, can you hear
buddy.
me?
We can hear you.
I'm sideways?
Yes.
I'm sideways.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I got this.
All right.
That better?
That's great. You look gorgeous.
Yes. You would think either way would work. But apparently that's not the thing. You can hear me good and everything?
Yes, it's perfect.
Cool. This
Chase,
is my first Zoom call since I've moved into this place. I just wanted to make sure I got everything right. What's up, squad? Hi.
Your place is gorgeous. What's going on back there?
Thank you. I just moved from Bronx to Brooklyn, so it's, it's a fun world. It's a fun.
I know, it looks like you moved into a bordello in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So, not to give away exactly where you live, but we were talking to Dale last episode, and before we started, I was saying I used to live in Park Slope off of 9th and Prospect Park.
Shut up. I'm off of 10th and Prospect Park.
I know.
Up?
You were like, could have been neighbors 12 years ago.
Right?
That's really cool.
Sure. That's
Your
awesome.
place looks.
What's up, y'all?
Your place looks way better than mine, by the way.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Check it out. I'm actually standing on top of my bed right now, so it's not as great as you think. Not as great as you think, but I like it.
Oh my God. Well, I was gonna give a rundown of your credit.
You don't even want to know how much shit this is stacked on top of. I got it. It's fine. It's fine. I imagine. I think my ROTC nickname was technical difficulty, so this is okay. What's up?
I was gonna give a rundown of your credits because they made me laugh. You've done Just for Laughs in multiple cities, the New York Comedy Festival, Gilda's Laugh
Oh.
Fest, Moon Tower Comedy
Yeah,
Festival,
well,
Idaho,
okay.
Aspen. It just goes on and on and on.
Thank you. I finagled my way into a lot of things. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
You're like, I just picked the locks in the back door, and then I just
You know what I
got in.
mean? It's like, oh, somebody didn't show up. I got you. What's that? You know what I mean? It's fine. It's fine.
All right, Chase, let's talk about what we're doing today.
Let's talk about it.
We've given the audience the introduction that we're doing Ode to 1994 movies, and we've listed the movies. Tell us why you wanted to do movie soundtracks so bad.
Okay, well, first of all, I apologize. I just knew you guys were doing magic. I didn't realize it was like one song at a time. So I was like, oh, I thought it was albums. So I was like, I don't really know any albums that well. But I do know movies pretty good, like, growing up in Houston, we all had, if your parents were divorced, you had 3 churches that you went to: your mom's church, your dad's church, and then the movies every weekend, pretty much, right? So yeah, I was fortunate that every single movie that you guys listed, I actually saw at the movie theater, except for Reality Bites. I did not see that one in the theater. I saw that whenever I had like a free Showtime or Stars that happened that weekend. I was an HBO kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was HBO whole life, samples of the other stuff. So, but
I've
seen all these
Reality
movies.
Bites was on Stars all day, every day, all throughout 1995. It was constantly. How old? Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. How old were you in 1994?
94, I think I was in like the 5th or 6th grade. So whatever age that is. I remember dressing up like Ace Ventura in the 6th grade. So it was probably the summer of 5th grade. For sure.
We showed my son The Mask for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
You did? Oh
Yeah.
my God, that holds up. You know what I didn't realize about that movie is when the bad guy puts on the mask, that's a different actor. That's an Asian guy. Like, it's not the guy from Pulp Fiction. When he has the mask on, it's a different guy. It's like he talks differently. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool, right? I'm like, wow, these special effects are crazy. I'm staring at his neck. I'm like, that's a different fucking guy. And then I Googled it. But I realized that this year. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, I didn't know. He walks all different. I'm like, that's a different dude. It is a different dude.
Corbin's always impressed at. He's like, I don't understand how it happened, but that's the last movie where Cameron Diaz was a smoke show to him. I think a lot of guys would disagree, but that's Corbin's thing.
That's the first movie where she was a smoke show. She was a smoke show in Charlie's Angels. You know what? I'd even take Gangs in New York, Cameron Diaz. She was fine. She's great. She's great. Bad teacher. You know what I mean? She's amazing. She's like Drew Barrymore. Like, you feel like she's been there. She should be older than she is, but it's just because she's been there our entire lives. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Anyway.
Well, speaking of our entire lives, you were in like 5th grade in 94, and I was a sophomore in high school. So we're going to have very different experiences with these songs. I'm excited.
That's cool, man.
All right, let's start with The Lion King.
Wow.
The circle of life.
I mean, I knew Elton John was a thing, but that's really that was my first Elton John album. Like, let's be real, that was an Elton John album, right? Like, the whole thing. Amazing thing, man. Amazing thing. I remember being surprised Elton John was a white guy, because you can't tell listening to those songs. It's all about Africa. He's putting it down. I'm learning new words like vagabond. It's enough to make kings and vagabond. When I was a kid, I remember I was like, oh, Mom, look, let's give that vagabond some money. Like, I learned a new word. I was very excited. Anyway. Great album. And then my dad passed away a few years ago, and you just inherit your parents' stuff, right? And so I got all this stuff, and one of the things I kept was every single Leonard Cohen CD that he had, because it sounded like Scar. I'm like, oh, that's what Scar was doing. A Leonard Cohen impression. You know what I mean? What was that Scar song? How did it go? Do you remember how it went?
It's Be Prepared.
Be Prepared. That's what it was.
Yeah. So I just listened to that for the first time since like 1994 today.
Oh my God. It sounded Leonard Cohen-y, right? You felt that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the
as good as Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, as good as Jeremy Irons is in that movie with the voice, like how much fun would Leonard Cohen be as Scar?
Ooh.
Like,
That's so funny. You said you didn't know Elton John wasn't black. I didn't know Tom Waits wasn't black for many years. Most of my
I could see
life.
that. I could see that for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Pretty
Tom
embarrassing.
Waits sounds like the guy that sang "It's a Wonderful World," right? Like he's doing like kind of like that voice. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I get it. For sure.
So I may insert this in post, but I will just say 2 years ago, my son, when he was like barely 4, he did this thing called Pop Stars where they teach him all the songs from The Lion King and then these little bitty kids perform it for us. And he's dressed like Simba and he's lip singing because he's too afraid to sing into the mic, and he has to pee the whole time. So he's just grabbing his crotch the whole performance. Proud mom.
That's great.
What's your favorite song? I'm going to try to see if I can get people to pick a favorite song from each one. What's your favorite
from
song?
the Lion King soundtrack? Oof. I mean, it has to be. Here's the thing. I'm going to go favorite by which ones I karaoke the most.
Ooh, good
choice. And it's definitely the Timon and Pumbaa song. The
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata for sure. Everybody loves singing that one. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah, I like songs where they have moments where they talk on the inside of it. You know what I mean? That's just great.
Such a wonderful phrase.
Ain't no happening craze.
It's a great song. My friend Allie has it tattooed right here. Hakuna Matata.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, that was a fun little. I mean, yeah, it was a good moment. Like Simba, he's a lion and he moves with like these. I don't want to call them vegetarians because they're eating bugs, but you know, he should have eaten those guys, but he was so young. They grew up with him. You know, he's kind of like he grew up in like this vegan, gay household. So Simba was very like aware of, you know what I mean? Like he went to another place and then he came back home and he's wise. I don't know. It's a good movie. Good movie. Yeah.
I know they never like brought us back to the first time he eats like a cheetah and like see our eyes go black. Like this is what I was supposed to be eating. Then he looks at his friends like,
the bass dropped in his voice like his dad. And he's not Matthew Broderick anymore. He's just...
Oh, that would have been dark and wonderful.
That's great. I love that.
Ben, any last words on Lion King before we move on to maybe your favorite movie of all time?
No, this is my favorite song from the Lion King soundtrack comes from my beer league hockey days. There was a night where two guys were fighting each other, like sniping, and there's like really good yelling, and they got separated. It was just like all of that, you bitch, motherfucker, I'll fucking kill you. And then somebody on one of the benches, just like with a perfect baritone, just goes, "Can you feel the love tonight?" And I fell out laughing.
I love people with perfect timing.
Yo, speaking of "Can We Feel the Love Tonight," what's great about that, I think they stopped doing in these animated movies, and Lion King did it, is they would have like R&B remixes of these kids songs that were all like sexual and stuff. Like there was a "Can You Be the Love Tonight" with two like soul singers singing, you know what I mean? Like, and they stopped doing that. Like I remember when what was the Five-O movie, An American Tale?
Oh yeah.
Where, what was that song they sang in there where they're like
wishing on the same bright star?
That song. Yes. I remember the soul version that used to come on Sunny 99.1 Easy Listening.
How did that song? Okay, what's the whole song like?
The whole song is
like what's the chorus?
The chorus
we might be wishing on the same bright star,
and something somewhere. There's a nice bridge version of that song where it's like somewhere out there. And then a lady comes in. It's all sexual. It's all beautiful. I don't know. I mean, they don't do that anymore, but they should. You know what I'm saying? You know the song I'm talking about.
It is 100% a Sunny 99.1 song.
Yes.
Oh, I love sexualizing cartoon characters singing. That's fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Raunchy Disney. All right. Moving on. So you didn't see the beginning of this episode, but we started this episode of Ben and I role playing the opening scene of Pulp Fiction with Honey Bunny, Honey Bunny and Amanda.
So good.
That's
good.
why I have this.
Oh my god.
So
I mean, what a kick to the balls that song was, though. Like, to get you ready for this movie, like, what?
I don't think any movie or piece of art or show I've been to has like opened my eyes and knocked me flat on my ass as hard as Pulp Fiction did when I was 14. Like, it's just like the perfect age to have your mind fucking blown, and holy shit, did I have a great tool to do it. Like, it's just, in the summer of 1995, it was playing in the Dollar Theater in the town where I lived, and I swear me and my friends went every fucking day. Like, there was a time where I had this movie memorized, like, I mean, word for word, all of it. I absolutely loved it. I can't describe how much I enjoyed watching that movie in the theater. Like, it was the first time that I realized, like I saw it for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. I laughed my ass off. I was shocked. It was like the tension, everything like that. And then I went to go see it 15 more times, just so I could watch everybody in the crowd go through the same thing. Like, it was like, you are not going to believe it when he shoots Marvin in the face.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everything
our,
about it was intoxicating. Everything.
It was our first introduction to like Tarantino's lengthy monologues and like just how good they were. I mean, Royale with cheese just became so iconic after that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you don't realize how he's building tension. Like in that first scene with Sam Jackson and John Travolta, they're just these two hitmen having this weird, cool conversation, but the tension builds so slowly as they're like opening up the trunk and like we should have fucking shotguns. Like, what are these guys going to do, and how are they being so cool about it?
Right. It reminds me of like, improv. Like, we would have when I was doing UCB in New York, and just the drills that you would do in improv is they would give us a scene, and the scene was cutting up a dead body, and you could do anything. You could talk about anything but what you were doing. So I was planning a bachelorette trip while like using a like bone saw and like slipping it. And I feel like that's what Tarantino does. Like you don't really understand what's happening until it all starts coming together. It's just great.
Yeah, it was just, everybody was sweaty. It was such a sweaty movie. It was just very sweaty, and they talk like how we talk. Like, I think my buddy told me, like, yeah, you know, it's because Quentin Tarantino's mom used to date like black guys, so that's where he got like his music and the dialogue from. Like, I believe it. I mean, I don't know, but that sounds pretty accurate. Like, everybody just, it was just a rhythm, a dance, from the music to the dialogue. Yeah, like I don't know. Like, I remember when that soundtrack came out, I remember having the cassette tape of that soundtrack and just like staring at that cover with Uma Thurman on it and just being like, this is what cool is. Everything, the font, the name, I don't know. That was just nuts, man.
It's really hard to pick my favorite song off that soundtrack. So I just think of the song that gave me the best, like what I feel like when I watch Pulp Fiction, and it had to be Son of a Preacher Man by Dusty Springfield.
Oh yeah, it's a sexy tune.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I like that Flowers on the Wall one. You know what I mean? Just counting flowers on the wall. Oh, so
that
like,
don't bother
unlike
me
anything. Yes. Some of that was like music that my mom would listen to, and I'm like, what is this? I don't know if this is a country song or what. Yeah, watching Captain Kangaroo. Yeah. Oh God, so good.
What about you, Ben?
I think my favorite song on it is "Let's Stay Together," because it plays in bars all the time, and every time "Let's Stay Together" comes on, that's the scene where you meet Ving Rhames, where you meet Marcellus Wallace for the first time.
Oh,
and he's talking to Butch. So I like to do the lines from it, but I do it like as friendly as I possibly can. Just like over the bar. Just like, you know, the night of the fight, you might feel a bit of a sting. That's just pride fucking with you. Fuck pride. In the sixth, your ass goes down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's really fun. I was trying to see what I had written down. Pulp Fiction is the shining example. I got a lot of this from billboard.com. They covered what we're doing. They did a whole article on just the soundtracks of 1994, and
Wow.
they say Pulp Fiction is the shining example. Surf rock, soul, country, and funk rub elbows on one of the best-selling soundtracks of the year.
Yeah, it's like if a guy, like a movie, like we know Quentin's a movie nerd, but it's like, oh, he's a music nerd too, and he gave the world this perfect mixtape. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's great. Like all of a sudden, it's sort of like the way Netflix does now, where it's like, just because you grew up watching something doesn't mean like your son isn't going to grow up watching the same stuff that you did. You know what I mean? Like that sort of caught us all up. Like, oh yeah, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like you guys, they got it right. Our parents were cool, on some level, So,
well,
yeah.
I feel like that idea leads us into the next movie and movie soundtrack really well, because this is a mixtape of the generations. If we go into Forrest Gump.
Yeah, boomer rock. The boomers crying on each other's shoulder again.
Boomer.
Forrest Gump is such a, haven't we been through a lot, you guys? We've really been through a lot.
I love how unsympathetic we were, like, oh, did you go through Vietnam?
I know. I don't really get, but there's a big part of me is just like, and you motherfuckers are still putting us all through it. You're dragging us through the same shit.
We're such assholes. God, this is why we hate the new generation, because they're assholes too. Every young generation is an asshole to the one above it.
I like Forrest. Forrest Gump is my favorite vampire movie because that guy was 30 for like 60 years, right? Like.
Yep, you're right. And I love how at the time no one hated Jenny, but now everyone fucking hates Jenny. Like, we loved her along with Forrest, and now we look back, we're like, wow, so you just strung him along his whole life and then gave him AIDS? Like, you're horrible.
Yeah, Jenny was very toxic. That was a toxic, whatever it was a toxic relationship that they were going through, for sure.
Now, I probably said that wrong. She probably didn't give it to him, but did she? I mean, they had sex, right? Well,
they did. I don't know what she had. I don't know what Jenny had. I don't know what Jenny had. Who knows?
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I'm gonna say my favorite song from Forrest Gump, which was just let's see what I have here. Postmodern mixtape fare is what Billboard.com says. A double disc Forrest Gump soundtrack is a straightforward collection of songs chosen to represent different eras in American pop culture, presented without any irony or recontextualization. All right, with that, my favorite song off the album is Turn, Turn, Turn to Everything There Is a Season by the Birds.
Yeah, I like that song a lot as well.
It's
hard to pick a favorite off of this one. Like Sloop John B by the Beach Boys is awesome. As a Hawaiian shirted man, I have to love Sloop John B. But it's hard when you talk about like you don't want to recontextualize anything, but it's hard not to, like, can you imagine if somebody released Fortunate Son during the Iraq War or any of our recent conflicts? Like, can you imagine how scorned that person would be? Like, you're forever outside of American culture. Like, we just would not tolerate a song like Fortunate Son today. You go back and listen to it and you're just like, holy shit, that is a real screeching cry of truth. Like, it's a crazy good song. So
yeah, we talked about that on our Creedence Clearwater episode about how, these politicians, these rich spoon-fed politicians keep trying to use that song. We're like, this is not for you. It drives me insane.
You couldn't have said it any more plainly. There's no poetic language. It's a straight up fuck you, fuck off song.
Yes. What about you?
God, that's so true. That's so true, man. Like, yeah, it's crazy. They will always sort of grab these things that are good and turn them into just this toxic bullshit and water it down. You know what I mean? Yeah, Forrest Gump. I'm just gonna have to say the score, like the sound when the feathers floating around or whatever. It just because it's so serious, and then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, he's like Homer Simpson. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's light.
But yeah, it's just this light, stupid feather. He's just taking us through Americana, But I get it for sure. Yeah.
I don't usually do this, but I've got like my least favorite song on this album is Rebel Rouser. It's the like the real Southern like gothic guitar when Forrest Gump is being chased by the rednecks and they're throwing rocks and everything at him. It's that song that plays.
Oh,
like you
I'll
hear
have to
that.
watch again.
Yeah, you hear that like out and about at bars, and I'm just like, why are you even playing this? Like nobody has positive feelings associated with this song at all. Like it's intensely negative. It's just a shitty, horrible. It makes us feel terrible. Why are you playing it?
There's never anyone that's like, yeah, turn it up. This is my free
throw
bird.
rocks at a crippled kid. Let's do this. It's been so long since I bullied the shit out of someone weaker than me. Forget how good it feels.
for you guys, like I know for me, it seems like there was a many years Forrest Gump was the Thanksgiving movie to watch at Thanksgiving time. Where like other movies are Christmas movies. Do you feel like that's a Thanksgiving movie? Is that what sort of it became like to America? Like people are just watching it on Thanksgiving. Is that still a thing, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, it's the wholesome story we want to tell ourselves. So it's just like, yeah, gather around. This is what it is. There's nothing in that movie is really true, but it gives you a very good feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
I would rather watch that than
timing.
Football. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, same. His comedic timing is so good. He's he's a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Like
he's
Tom
funny.
Hanks will always be Bosom Buddies and Money Pit for me first. Like that's how I think of him first. He's so fucking funny. And then he just did so many of these like serious movies later, but I'm like, don't forget how funny you are.
Don't forget Bachelor Party.
It's funny, like underlines the
voice. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna I think my favorite moment in Forrest Gump is the way that his comic timing like underlines the serious moment. Like there's a scene in his house in Greenbow, Alabama, where he's telling Jenny, he goes like, "I'm not a smart man, but I do know what love is." And then he goes outside on the porch to think it over, and instead of like crossing his arms or lighting up a cigarette or whatever, like just that weird hands on his
hands on his hips and just look. I never noticed that, but now I know what you're talking about. It's so funny.
Oh my God. It's the same Lieutenant Dan wave post. It's so good. Like
God, by the way, that's one of my favorite buddy movies. The him and Lieutenant Dan, I could watch that all day. If you did a super cut of just him and Lieutenant Dan, whatever that is so good, because that's a real dude. Like we've seen that real dude.
Oh yeah,
it's the Frank Grimes of Forrest Gump. Like that's a real human having to interact with Forrest Gump. He lost his leg. He's pissed off.
Gary Sinise nailed that. That was really funny.
Oh God, so good.
I think that's one of the best line readings in all of film. Is when it's like, "You ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan." Yes. I know that, Forrest. Like it's perfect. Like, everything is just layered into it.
And Chase, you said you listened to the Tupac episode. Can you fathom Tupac as Bubba, knowing that he auditioned to be Bubba in Forrest Gump?
I could.
I guess we all could.
We could. I can't imagine him doing the lip. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't. I really couldn't. I mean, it's fun to think about, but at a certain point, my brain just stops. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can only see the serious moment of, I won't go home. But that's all I can see.
I cannot picture Tupac, like, talking about shrimp. Like, all the different ways you can eat shrimp.
He would do it. He would do it, but he would scrub the toothbrush like in a cool way, like shrimp stew, shrimp parfait.
I think he just make it too hot, because I'll just admit it. I think Tupac's really fucking hot, and like you're not supposed to be turned on by Bubba.
Yeah, he's too good looking to be Bubba, and it wouldn't be about shrimp. Like with those long, luxurious Tupac eyelashes, he'd have to be talking about working in his aunt's nail salon. You ever been in a beauty parlor, Forrest?
All right.
Wow.
Let's move on to a way less fun movie and darker soundtrack. Let's move on now to The Crow.
Can I?
Oh,
can
wow.
Can I confess something to you guys?
Have you never
Seen The Crow?
Whoa.
Wow.
I know.
It's not great. For most women, it is. Like my mom I think this was such a mental dilemma for her. She had the hots for Brandon Lee, and she was like, I like him better with the makeup on.
I think that's what set me against the movie, is when every guy started dressing up as a Crow for Halloween. I was just like, fuck you very much. I'm never watching that goddamn movie.
Can't tell you.
I get it. The Crow is definitely the Harley Quinn of dudes, so I understand how you feel about that.
It's a good observation.
I feel like, we all want a Tim Burton teenage angst movie, but he gave us that with Edward Scissorhands. That was his high school movie. You know what I mean? The Crow is a darker, that other side of the goth spectrum. Although I do think if The Crow wasn't a thing, we never would have had Hot Topic. We never would have had Torrid. The Crow helped with a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean?
I think you're right. I'll tell a quick story. One Halloween, it was either 94 or 95. I went to a party and I was dressed as I Dream of Jeannie, and I had like my midriff showing. Got really drunk and made out with a guy who was dressed as the Crow. Out in the parking lot, went inside, waiting in line to use the bathroom, and this girl just looks at me and like looks at my stomach and looks at me. She's like, "You were making out with that Crow, weren't you?"
Oh my god!
Covered in black, all down my face and my stomach.
I love Halloween. It's everybody's excuse to be a furry. It's like, oh, you made out with that crow, right? Like, it's like you're not even a person. You're the thing that you are dressed as. You know what I mean?
Yep. I Dream of Jeannie hooked up with the Crow. It was the weirdest thing.
That's funny. That's funny.
Sorry, I'm coughing so much. So this whole album represents all the bands that I was super, super into at that exact time. So they have The Cure, Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine, Violent Femmes, Rollins Band, Helmet, Pantera, Thrill Kill Cult. I had all of those tapes, maybe at that point, all of them. So, and Diane I'd never liked being called goth. I was new wave, but this was my wheelhouse very, very much in 1994.
I absolutely get it. I mean, just they curated the perfect soundtrack for like if you walk in Hot Topic, that soundtrack could be playing and you'd be like, it's Hot Topic, man. You know what I mean? Like it's perfect for sure. The sound. I remember staring at the CD and it looked like it smelled like black crayons, and I appreciated that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's goth shit, but it's good. It's good.
It smells like patchouli. Oh, they should make albums Scratch and Sniff so you can just smell that time, you know? It smells like clove cigarettes and patchouli.
It's anger and sadness, and I think a little bit of Lincolnberry.
Oh, what Drakkar Noir? Is that the like cologne all the guys were wearing back then? Drakkar.
Yeah, for sure. Drakkar.
Cool Water. Oh god.
Yeah, middle school Cool Water was the one, baby. Cool Water. I used Cool Water so much growing up that it doesn't stick on me anymore. Like to this day, I could pour a bottle of Cool Water on my neck and it just goes away. Like I just absorb it. It's not there. It's nothing.
I was gonna say, does your body reject it? Like no more.
It just no, stop. We're not that type of water. Any other type of water.
So this was actually very hard for me to pick, but I will say my favorite song from this dark, depressing album is Color Me Once by Violent Femmes. I love Violent Femmes. I don't know why they went away. I fucking love that band. But this was like not their usual sound. You know, they're famous for Blister in the Sun and, you know, lots of upbeat music, and we're going to see them again in the Reality Bites soundtrack. But Color Me Once was like nice and slow and dark, and I find it soothing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That that's one of those movies I haven't seen it as much as other things. My Ernie Hudson movie, as much as it's Ghostbusters, it's probably tied with Congo for some reason, because there's something relaxing about a bad movie that I just love watching over and over again and quotable. I would have to go with the Nine Inch Nails song just because I really liked I really listened to a lot of that growing up. So yeah.
And that one still stands up too. My favorite song on this album is definitely "Burned" by The Cure. Like that might have been the time when I fell in love. That every night I burn. I love that. But also, like, shout out to I think a much reviled band, and they deserve to be reviled. But "Big Empty" is a Stone Temple Pilots high point. That's a really, really nice song. I really like that one.
Wow.
That's the big "Time to Take a Ride," but it opens with that like country like slide guitar. It just makes me feel like dusty West Texas town, like you're in Lubbock.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. God, you nailed that. That's so true. That's so true. I think the reason I like every time Trent Reznor sings is because he's like not even trying to sing. He's just trying to be like as Trent Reznor as possible. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't know why that's what I do. Because, you know what I mean? He's not even, he's talking, you know what I mean? Got money, that's not what I want. No, you can't take it. No, you can't. He's just talking, but he's like, I'm gonna tap into my pissivity. Anybody that can tap into their emotion when they sing. I feel the same way about comedy. Like, for many years, I'll just write jokes and make it to where you can just say the joke on stage and it'll get a laugh. But then it's like, oh no, people connect to some type of emotion that you're putting out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love that. But you're absolutely right.
Nine Inch Nails was like actually the birth of this podcast. It all started with me looking at an Instagram post of a friend of mine who took a picture on her Sirius XM radio of Nine Inch Nails and It's Terrible Lie. And she's like, I am fucking 40 and thought my whole life he was saying, I forgot what her misheard song lyric was. Cause I had another friend who always thought he was saying Caroline instead of Terrible Lie.
Oh, are you serious?
And I started just swirling. I was like, what if we did a podcast and we had a segment where we had people's misheard song lyrics, and it just, snowballed from there. But it all started with that Nine Inch Nails post.
Oh, that's so good. My misheard song lyrics. Turn on the light. My misheard song lyrics was song lyric was that one song Panama.
Oh my God, are you about to say what I have written down for today's misheard song lyric? Tell me what yours.
For some reason, I thought they were saying Cannonball, and it was about jumping in a pool and doing a cannonball. Cannonball! Like in my head, I made up this music video of just all these different people jumping in a pool doing cannonballs. Cannonball! Cannonball! I thought that's what it was for so many years. I didn't know.
That is a crazy coincidence, because I have, for later on in our segment, today's Dressed Up Like a Douche is from Marty Finkelstein. I don't know if you knew Marty, comedian. He thought it was Panama. He thought he was saying, had enough. And most people think he's saying animal. Like that.
Yeah. I think I thought it was animal for the longest time.
God,
as I was like discounting that whole band, and I never got into them.
David Lee Roth. Rob Mungle hates you for that. David Lee Roth needs to enunciate.
I feel like Ben's been smart the whole time. Like, some people are like, you can physically tell there's something, like, it's like, okay, that guy's gay, like, down to the bones. Like, I get, like, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. I love it. You know what I mean? But like, Ben, you're like, you can tell it's a smart guy. It's a little intimidating. Like, oh, it's a fucking genius. Diane, no offense, you're great. You're like me. You're Michelangelo. And you're a Ninja Turtle. Like, you're just pizza. Yeah, you're fun. You know what I mean? But not that he's not fun. That's just a smart guy. You know what I mean?
I've been posing as a smart guy since 1994. Maybe if I always carry a pen and touch my forehead.
No, it's because you can quote like literature from the, like no one else can do that. Like it's you can do literature. My husband can do history and dates. Like that's just smart people can memorize shit that I thought was boring.
It's a trick we use to pull the wool over your eyes.
I know dumb Jeopardy. I know the stupidest dumb 90s movie Jeopardy stupid shit that nobody cares about. So that's great. No, I appreciate it. To be able to read something and quote it is insane to me. That's nuts. That's nuts.
I'm always going for the pink piece of pie when I play Trivial Pursuit. Pop culture. That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, did we do all our favorite songs from The Crow? Can we move on to another
Yes.
wonderfully dark movie with natural born killers?
Another Quentin
Ooh.
Tarantino movie. How, like, I know, like, you're a movie geek, Chase. Like, how awesome would it be to be Quentin Tarantino in 1994, where you were a video store clerk not 2 years ago? Reservoir Dogs has come out. You're seen as this awesome auteur. You sold your script for Natural Born Killers to Oliver Stone years ago. Now that movie is coming out. You know that the much better movie, like Natural Born Killers, came out in August of '94, and Pulp Fiction came out in October. So that movie comes like that. Tarantino hates what Oliver Stone did to Natural Born Killers. Like, he thinks he absolutely ruined the movie. So can you imagine being like a 27? Yeah. So you're 27-year-old like Quentin Tarantino. Oliver Stone is an Academy Award winning director. He's just ruined your screenplay as far as you're concerned, and you're 2 years out from being a video store clerk. It's like how would you even? You would have to do a mountain of cocaine and drive around Los Angeles in a pussy wagon. There's just no other way for your ego to respond to that kind of year.
Yeah, there's no way. And then, but you also, like, to be able to have Oliver Stone make some shit that you don't like is also like, it's like rapper level beef. It's like, you know what? Fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a way to elevate yourself, is sort of pick beef with somebody. You know what I mean? That you don't, you know? So everything about it was genius. I mean, there's definitely some brilliant stuff in Natural Born Killers for sure. You know what I mean? But, you know, obviously if you're a Quentin fan, you know, you can look at both of them and love them both. You know what I mean? Like, all of it. But yeah, I could not imagine that year. How do you follow? How do you even, I mean, you could just drop the pen at that point. Like, yeah, I'm done. Everybody knows I'm a genius or whatever. Like, that's crazy. But he kept doing it. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like why? It's almost like, why would you continue? Like, you've made your pile of money. Like, let's just get out of here. Like, let's just leave now. Why go through all this heartbreak?
I could definitely see myself being that person. I like to make a lot of money, and then I'm good at saving money and be like, I work smarter, not harder, player. Like, I'm out.
My only decision now is, do I live in the mountains or on an island? I'm done.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about him too, like, did y'all watch Hateful Eight? Did y'all ever see that movie Hateful Eight?
Oh yeah.
I think I saw a little bit of it, but no.
I love that movie. But what's crazy to me is, like, I feel like in some ways, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Walton Goggins is like the white version of Samuel Jackson. Like, Samuel Jackson's like cartoonishly black, and Walton Goggins is like, if you wanted to just pick an actor that looked like a racist white guy, Walton Goggins is that guy. And they put them both in the same movie, in like a buddy movie. Like, you're watching it, you're like, holy shit, this is like a buddy movie with these two guys at a certain point. And it's so good because they hate each other, but they hate everybody else even more. And so they team up. I don't know. But anyway, his ability to just take these actors that might not be very hot and then tailor make something for them just to chew up on the screen is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Like Don Johnson in Django, like whatever, anything. He just knows how to put people in stuff, man. It's so good. Anyway, Natural Born Killers. Let's talk about that.
Leonardo DiCaprio in Django. Like, holy living shit. How do you talk? What a risk. How do you talk Leo, like everyone's matinee idol, into playing that guy? And just like, no, you're having so much fun doing it. Like, you don't understand. Yeah. This is going to be your career defining role.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck Titanic.
Okay, sure. The Rodney Dangerfield scene in Natural Born Killers.
That's my favorite scene. What is that? Like, to make him so evil. That shot was so evil. Oh my God. Yes.
Like the perfect actor for it, but again, like, how do you talk Rodney Dangerfield? Like, no, you're the foulest version of yourself. You know, so much worse than you are, like even off stage. Like, he's got to like keep it clean on the Johnny Carson show.
Right.
like Rodney Dangerfield, if you can find like him like working clubs when he could work blue, it's just fantastic.
Oh
you know,
God.
like, yes. I was talking to this woman. She said, "I really love you. We have so much in common." I said, "I don't like to suck dick."
One of my favorite
Rodney.
One of my favorite Dangerfield jokes was something about having sex with his wife and it wasn't really going anywhere? And he's like, what's the matter? You can't think of anybody either? Which I was like, well, that's marriage.
I would go. I remember watching at the Dollar Movie every time a Rodney Dangerfield movie was there. We watched it. I saw Ladybugs. I saw Meet Wally Sparks. And it's funny that you say that. How do you talk him into being such an evil guy? I'm pretty sure like one of the next things Rodney Dangerfield played after that was the devil in Little Nicky. Like he's like, the devil's dad. It's like, well, where do you go after that? You know what I mean? It's so funny. Yeah.
Was he Nicky's dad?
He was Nicky's dad's dad, I think. I think Harvey Keitel was his dad,
yes.
and then Rodney Dangerfield was Grandpa Satan.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Dude, this movie was an acid trip. I mean, just the whole thing. And like, so to talk about that real quick, you know, Trent Reznor, this was his first foray into doing a movie soundtrack. And he, instead of like neatly laying these tracks alongside, he wanted to, cut and paste a collage of songs, special effects, and dialogue to create a schizophrenic, jittery journey. And he fucking nailed it, dude. Like, that's exactly what this movie is.
I didn't even know that he did the soundtrack to that movie until you're telling me this right now. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I see that. That movie, to me, that movie was such a ride. It's also like, it's an exhausting movie to watch. Like it almost feels like 2 or 3 movies. Yes. Kind of like when you watch like when you watch Pinocchio as a kid. It's the only movie you couldn't make it all the way through. You're like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. They're all donkeys. Then you come back and the whale thing is like a whole nother movie. It was just so long, but I get it. You're right. Yeah, for sure. Sure. He did a great job. That's great.
It's stressful. My favorite, just like one little line in the whole movie is when she's like, are you flirting with May? And then she just beats the shit out of this guy in the restaurant. It's so good.
I remember I remember Robert Downey Jr. just being Robert Downey Jr., like that soap dish era Robert Downey Jr., just so entertaining in that movie. I just remember did he play that? I mean, everybody did a wonderful job in that movie. But I just remember that specifically. But
it's fun to watch that movie again and think back, like, oh yeah, you remember when like hard copy was the worst thing about the media?
Oh my god! Wow, and now everything is hard copy, right?
Everything.
That's so funny.
Everything.
We just need to. I just want to bring back that current affair special effect. Just right before they're gonna drop something. You know
so every single time I shut my dishwasher, I go, tonight on A Current Affairs. It goes.
That's great.
All right, my favorite song from this soundtrack is Sweet Jane by Cowboy Junkies. I can listen to that song all day.
Wow.
Well, let's get a ruling on this, because I was looking at the list and I could swear that Everybody Knows by Leonard Cohen is on the Natural Born Killers soundtrack, but I didn't see it on the list.
It's not?
I know there's, I think I didn't see it. There's Waiting for the Miracle, and there's another one on there as well, but I didn't see Everybody Knows. But if Everybody Knows is on that. Oh, The Future is the other one that's on there.
That's Leonard Cohen for sure.
That is Leonard Cohen, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I thought it was too. I don't know why, but apparently it's not. But I don't know. Maybe it was like a bonus track on it or something like that. Or maybe it doesn't appear in the film, but was on the album.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like I said, it was like a schizophrenic cut and paste of songs. So I think it was.
As I know, I definitely spent a lot of time as an angsty teen, like just going over those lines. Like, everybody knows the war is over. Everybody knows the good guys lost. Like,
yes.
So if it's on the album,
everybody knows I love you, baby. Give or take a night or two.
So would that be your favorite then, if that is in fact on the album? Yeah,
absolutely, it would be.
What about you,
That's
Chase?
a really good pick. That's a really good pick. What songs are on it again? I mean, I'm gonna go with whatever the fuck was playing when it zoomed in on Rodney Dangerfield, and you know what shot I'm talking about. Like, that was
crazy. actually don't remember that. Actually, I woke up this morning and I was like, if I'm gonna watch one of these movies out of the 7, I was like, I really want to watch Natural Born Killers, because I hadn't seen it in so long, and I didn't do it. I wish I would have.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, let's move on then to, because we got two more to get through. Reality Bites. This stupid movie has such a strong place in my heart. Not only just because it was filmed in Houston and I lived on the street where they filmed it. It's just and I love Winona Ryder and Ben loves Ethan Hawke. I mean, it's just a great movie.
I mean, this movie keeps coming up. I forget like what we've actually talked about on the podcast.
So much.
I didn't realize until I was watching Boyhood, the movie that Ethan Hawke made with Linklater. That is it Linklater?
Yeah.
It's shot over like 15 years, so you watch him get like older throughout it. And I realized like I grew up with Ethan Hawke. That's why I like him so much, because he was in The Explorers. He's the first kid to stand on the desk in Dead Poets Society. He's Reality Bites Troy Dyer, who was my hero for a couple of years until I realized that was really not the way direction you wanted to go. Like, watching him get old in Boyhood, like there's a moment in Boyhood where it's got nothing to do with the movie or anything like that, where I'll just start tearing up, and it's just because like I'm getting older too.
Yep. And there's been a lot of talk about, Reality Bites. Like looking back, we're like, Ben Stiller wasn't the villain. He was the good guy. She should have gone with him. He tried to get her show onto MTV. Troy Dyer didn't do shit, but like be mean to her.
Well, if she didn't, then reality wouldn't bite as much. You know what I'm saying? So. Like we needed it to bite, And yeah, you're right about Ethan Hawke. Like, maybe him and Drew Barrymore need to make a super kid or something.
That's a really good.
such a great vibe that Reality Bites. Like there's been other movies that have tried to do something similar. Like I think the next Reality Bites that came out, I feel like successfully, that type of vibe was probably, I don't know, did Empire Records come out after that? Or like what do you call it? What was the one?
Singles.
Garden State.
Yes. Garden State was the best soundtrack too, even though it's mostly the Shins, but God, I love that soundtrack.
I think Singles came out before Reality Bites. Like I think Reality Bites is a riff on Singles.
I think so too. What was Singles, like 91, 92 or something?
91 or 92,
Yeah.
I was actually more of all those movies. I think I watched more the Paul Reiser version of The Divorcees called Bye Bye Love that came out like a year later. I think I watched that one. They played that on HBO a lot, or Starz. But I saw that one a lot.
I haven't heard someone say Paul Reiser's name in so long.
It was like his one movie. It felt like his one movie. I don't know. It just, it would come on a lot. Anyway.
Well, so
Paul Reiser in Aliens is one of my favorite. Like, what is Paul Reiser doing in space? Like,
why are you here?
The scary thing about Paul Reiser in Aliens is I feel like, at least for me, I don't know about you, Ben, but that's probably the character that I connect to the most. Like I was like, I understand every decision that guy makes.
That's really funny. I can't believe we're talking about Paul Reiser. I love where this podcast takes us.
Paul Reiser is the guy that gets bit in the zombie movie and doesn't tell anybody. Like that's what he was in Alien, even though, it just felt like that. Yeah.
He's the guy that will get COVID and not wear his mask.
He's like, fuck it, it's not real.
I don't want anybody to not like me. So Reality Bites is just, okay, Winona Ryder was dating the lead singer of Soul Asylum while she was filming this movie, and that's why he has like a bit part in it. But it was just, again, all the same bands that everybody was loving at the time, like Lenny Kravitz, U2, Dinosaur Jr. They had the Knack. My Sharona was obviously a big scene, and then Peter Frampton's Big Mountain's reworking of Peter Frampton's Baby I Love Your Way, which was huge in that song. But my ultimate favorite, and it's just a favorite in general, is U2's All I Want Is You.
Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite song off this one, it would be that one too. I've definitely spent a lot of like angsty, sad nights listening to All I Want Is You. That's assigned.
It's just so good. It's that ending scene where like he shows up and he's just like, I love you. And then she like crawls over her front porch balcony on that street that I used to live on. I used to drive by that house all the time. And then, you know, they embrace while, you know, Bono is just screaming his heart out about how much he
was
wants
wailing, the Bono wail. I love, there's a couple of really good songs. First of all, I don't understand why Crowded House was never a bigger band. Like they had some really, really good songs. Like Better Be Home Soon is a fucking incredible love song. Like
Yes,
it's not on this soundtrack, but it's just a great song. I
gotta listen to
I saw
that.
Crowded House.
Crowded
Yeah,
House is fantastic.
Wow.
It's very like late 80s sensitive guy with a guitar kind of song, but it is
Don't
like somebody needs.
It's over. You know that one, right? That's Crowded House.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, right on.
Yeah. But it's like You Better Be Home Soon is one of those ones like I wish that like I don't know who could blow the dust off of that one and release it as a cover today, but I bet it would be I bet somebody could do a really, really nice job with that one. Who is this sensitive English guy, the kid who was on Game of Thrones who sings treacly love tunes?
What's that? The redheaded guy.
Yeah, that guy should do.
What's his name?
Ed Sheeran.
Ed
Sheeran should do Better Be Home Soon.
That's a good choice. I agree.
That's a really good choice. What are some other songs on that soundtrack? I just listened to it before that we recorded this, and it's slipping my mind right now. What are a couple more songs?
Were the two big
Ethan
ones?
Hawke stretch. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead with Ethan Hawke.
There's like the scene. Ethan Hawke he plays in a band, so he's gonna do his little solo number. So it's just with the acoustic guitar. He sings a song called "I'm Nothing," which is the most like self-hating early 90s song ever. And apparently Ethan Hawke wrote it himself. And it's because Ethan Hawke is a serious artist. He's a novelist, you know, and a Shakespearean actor.
But is that the song he's playing when Winona walks in and then he segues into Violent Femmes? Like, why can't I get just one fuck? Like, he goes right into that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that scene is in Rockefellers in Houston.
Is that where it was?
Yes.
Okay, I've always wondered. I never knew that.
Yep. Yeah, so that, Chase, but I think the ones you would remember the most famous songs from that movie is My Sharona, when they start dancing in the gas station.
Wait, did that come from that movie? No, it was before that movie.
No, it was way before.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my favorite song on there, just because, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, here's my problem with My Sharona in general, right? If you're ever in a traffic situation and you turn on the blinker, My Sharona is gonna stick in my head at some point. At some point in the month. And I say if somebody has that many syllables in their name, I'm the type of guy when I call you, I'm gonna make a song with your name. So I know a guy named Ku Agenti. I'm like, Ku Agenti. Like, you know what I mean? Whoever.
I like how
Andrew Youngblood. Like, it doesn't matter.
I like how you have the windshield wipers that turn you into a song, and mine's my dishwasher. We should put it all. All right. Our last one, because we're getting a little long in the tooth in this podcast here, is I just wanted to put it in there because, you know, I don't have a whole lot of personal favorites on Above the Rim, but I do have one that I really, really liked. So Above the Rim, you know, it was just straightforward, overseen by Suge Knight and Dr. Dre. So aside from serving as an excellent snapshot of the West Coast G-Funk taking over hip-hop circa 1994, it was the first release to Warren G's Regulate, featuring Nate Dogg. Fucking love the song.
Yeah. First of all, if you're going to put Steven Dorff on a rap song, that's got to be the one, right? I mean, that is just the best. I mean, oh my God, just that quote at the beginning, everything, the vibe, everything. I've probably seen every single documentary on YouTube on that song that everybody's made, just because that's such a wonderful song, such a perfect song, such a perfect song. Yeah, that whole soundtrack was insane to me because just the movie in general, like you see Tupac acting, everybody acting, but that soundtrack, I think it had like 20 tracks or 21 tracks on it. It was a huge track list because whenever a movie like that would come out, you just felt like the rap community, everybody sort of got together, like, you got to get on this soundtrack. Like, that's just another way to bypass the radio. Yes. You know what I mean? Because the radio, you know what it's like, the radio in the Midwest, like in Houston, you're hearing like sort of the top 40 stuff. Right. But you can get some deep cuts on on these soundtracks. You know what I mean? I think, as far as movie soundtracks like that go, I feel like Above the Rim, the 8 Mile soundtrack was very inspired, I feel like, by that soundtrack, just as far as like, this isn't just the music in this movie, but we're going to educate you on sort of what's happening right now, or some of these legends, you know what I mean? So, and also different Jewel on there, not the one you're thinking, not the same Jewel.
I saw that.
Different Jewel.
I totally looked that up. I absolutely looked that up.
You're like, Jewel?
I know where your head's at. It's okay. I get it. But that's a different one.
But you were like, I have to hear what song she did on this soundtrack.
Whatever happened to Nate Dogg and Warren G? Like I'm not a hip hop guy, but it did seem like they had that huge big hit, and then I never heard from him again. Oh my God! Did I step on a rake here?
Deceased. That's why Nate Dogg's still around. Warren G.
I think you got it backwards. I think Nate Dogg is deceased.
I'm sorry, Nate Dogg died.
Still around.
Warren G is still alive. Nate Dogg died. He had like a series of strokes, and then he eventually just had congestive heart failure. So it was just medical. He didn't get shot. Nothing too tragic, except just medical problems.
I feel like the thing that Forrest Gump tried to do, like sort of, we're gonna take you through America history, but like with this idiot for like this a long time. You know what I mean? We're gonna take you through. I do feel like if they ever made a Nate Dogg movie, it would be phenomenal. Like, because he's a smart guy. I love anybody who talks as a song. Like he's the black like Leonard Cohen to me.
Yes.
Like he just talks. You know what I mean? He's just like, I'm gonna drop this verse right here. You know what I mean? Like, so cool. It can't be replicated.
They said he was known as the king of hooks, providing guest vocals on a multitude of rap songs between 1994 to 2007. Like, follow his journey. You're right. Through so many albums.
Everybody, just such a journey. So many hits. That California song with Tupac, are you like everything? Yeah, he's so good. Yeah.
He's got that Sam Damaris. If Sam Damaris could do that, that deep raspy voice.
I love Sam Damaris's voice. Sometimes I find myself doing Sam Damaris's voice like in my house. Like I open up some mail I don't want to open. I'll be like, so here's the deal. I don't know why. That's like in my head. Like that's how the voice is.
He would probably be honored to hear that.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Any last words on Above the Rim? I can't believe we actually. I know what we should do right now. Diane figured out a way to do something. This would be a perfect place for all three of us to finally watch live 6 Degrees of Tommy Stinson with Jeremy Essig, because I finally figured out how to share my screen and we can watch it and then talk about it.
Let's do it. Technology.
Hey friends, welcome to the most ambitious edition of 6 Degrees yet. Rather than our normal method of connecting Tommy Stinson to this week's artist, Diane suggested that we connect Tommy Stinson to one of the soundtracks discussed, then take that soundtrack and connect it to every other soundtrack discussed, and then finally, when we get to the final soundtrack, connect that back to Tommy Stinson. So, the order Diane thought these soundtracks were going to be discussed is as follows. We're going to connect Tommy Stinson to The Lion King to Pulp Fiction to Forrest Gump to The Crow to Natural Born Killers to Reality Bites to Above the Rim, and then Above the Rim back to Tommy Stinson. So that's a lot of ground to cover. I usually try to keep these kind of short, so I'm going to try to harness my most inner native Clevelander and talk as fast as possible. Here we go. After the replacements, Tommy Stinson would play bass for Guns N' Roses, who years earlier played a version of their hit November Rain with Elton John on the 1992 Video Music Awards, a year before he began recording the Lion King soundtrack. That soundtrack features the vocals of Cheech Marin, who, as we discussed in an earlier show, was also featured on the 1974 Joni Mitchell album, Court and Spark, for reasons I can only guess had to do with drugs. Mitchell would appear in the documentary The Last Waltz, as would 70s douche Neil Diamond, whose song Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon was covered by 90s douches Urge Overkill on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. The Last Waltz also featured Bob Dylan, who would appear on the Forrest Gump soundtrack. Dylan would later also appear on another soundtrack that was produced by Trent Reznor, and Trent Reznor's band Nine Inch Nails was featured on the soundtrack for The Crow. And in case you're wondering, the soundtrack that Reznor produced that also featured a song from Bob Dylan, Natural Born Killers. So it feels like I just did some weird 7-10 split with Bob Dylan, but I'm not really known for my bowling metaphors. Anyways, Natural Born Killers soundtrack also had a song by Dan Zanes, whose earlier band, the Del Fuegos, was name-checked in the song My Sister by Juliana Hatfield. Juliana Hatfield would follow up that single with the song Spin the Bottle and its video directed by Ben Stiller, who included it on the soundtrack to his film Reality Bites. That soundtrack also featured one of my favorite bands, Dinosaur Jr. Dinosaur Jr. would appear also on the soundtrack to the movie Judgment Night, collaborating with Del the Funky Homo Sapien on the track Missing Link. Del the Funky Homo Sapien is the cousin of Ice Cube, who produced Del's first album after Ice Cube left NWA, a group he formed with Above the Rim soundtrack producer Dr. Dre. On the Above the Rim soundtrack, Dre featured a bunch of his Death Row Records artists, including Tupac, who we talked about a few episodes ago. Tupac collaborated with the Notorious B.I.G. on the song Running from the Police before B.I.G. would be featured on the All About the Benjamins rock remix with bass player Tommy Stinson. So, The Lion King, to Pulp Fiction, to Forrest Gump, to The Crow, to Natural Born Killers, a ton of Boston artists, Reality Bites, to Above the Rim, and we threw in the soundtrack for The Last Waltz and Judgment Night just for fun. Back to Diane and Patrick.
Wow.
I'll give a standing ovation. That was incredible.
Oh,
That was great.
it's insane. It's insane how he does that. Good job. Although I don't think it would have been too long without having him sped it up, but it made it a really funny addition. Because when I told him, I was like, all right, we don't have one song or one artist. We have 7 soundtracks. How are we going to do this? But I think you did a great job. So thank you, Jeremy. That was amazing. Good thing we already talked about our Dressed Up Like a Douche this week, sprinkled into our episode. So we can move right along to Chase. Do you have a guilty pleasure song?
I mean, I have so many guilty pleasure songs. It's ridiculous. But since we are talking about movies, I feel like the one guilty pleasure song that kind of sticks in my head movie-wise, I don't know the name of the song, but it's the one with, you'll know it. It's Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow. You know what I'm talking about?
From Duets?
I will sing the man and the woman parts of both of those songs in karaoke. It's just so catchy.
Hold on. So can I fucking loved it. What is the name of it? I'm going to look it up.
You're going right away. I'm going my way. Love it when we're grooving together.
Oh my God. I used to want to do that karaoke with somebody. Where were you, Chase?
It's the best. Baby, I know. Away from here. The coolest break. It has like that Bone Thugs like song. And if you want it, you got it forever.
And if you want it, you got it forever. And I was like, I didn't think she was that bad of a singer in that.
She was great.
Yeah, that song was good. I haven't thought about duets in so long.
Hey, there you go. I will listen to that version over whatever the original version of the song is. I can't help it. It's just there's something catchy. I don't know.
It's really good. I did have this written down that I wanted to say about just kind of the 90s in general. Is it just me, or does it feel like the first half of the 90s was like really depressing with like grunge and obviously some of these dark movies, and then like, you know, the gangster rap that was going on. And what I realized, I was like, the early 90s was so hungover from the neon colors and cocaine binge of the late 80s. Like we just needed a fucking nap. We needed Seattle clouds and to pull those covers up over our head. Like Wall Street crashed in the late 80s. We all crashed with it.
Wow, you're actually speaking the truth, because I remember growing up, like, you know, I was a Ninja Turtles kid, and the movie came out and it was so fucking dark. But
so
it was
dark.
Great, but it was so dark.
Exactly. And then just like, you know, the way new plants grow out of the remnants of a forest fire, these fucking annoying babies came out in the late 90s with like the Spice Girls and all the boy bands and Britney Spears. And I was like, what the fuck is this? That's why me and Corbin say when you turn on like Sirius XM 90s, it's such a like, what are you going to get? Are you going to get Nirvana? Are you going to get Spice Girls? Like,
it really is almost like two decades, like 1990 to 95, and then 95 to 2000 are completely different things. Because exactly like you say, it's a hangover. It's pulling sheets over your bed and going, I hate myself and I want to die. I'm never drinking again.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. And even if you look at like the movies, like from 95 to 99, it was like a part of us really felt like it was over now. Like, so everybody sort of gave it their all towards the end. Like it was, yeah, you're right. So bright. It is like 2 decades. It happened so fast. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Bizarre decade. All right, Chase, this was amazing. Other than all of the great credits, can you please promote yourself? Tell the listeners where they can hear and see more.
Absolutely. You know, if you can see how to spell my name on here, it's very difficult, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to be dropping some, like, you know, podcast episodes and videos and stuff. I know I took a little I took a little break, but I'll be back. I'll keep doing stuff. I don't have a set schedule, but I'm working on it. I'm working on having a better schedule with stuff, with shows, with projects and content, stuff like that. So just keep your eyes peeled over here, and we'll see what I come up with next. I think I sort of have social media anxiety, and I overthink before I post anything, and I don't need to do that. I should just start, posting stuff more. So I'll work on that, but just, follow the journey. I won't be annoying. I promise. I promise.
We will put in the show notes exactly how to spell Chase DuRousseau, so they can just search your name and then follow
Thank you.
Right.
Perfect. That's
Dude,
all I
thank you
want.
so much. Thank you for
guys.
shaking up our format, man. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Really
This is the longest I've ever talked to any of y'all, and we should do it more. You know what I mean? We should definitely do it more. You know what I mean? I just, there you go. So
before I let you
I don't
go,
know when to stop talking. I'm horrible at,
it's
wrapping
wonderful.
up. So
it's wonderful.
Okay,
Hold
you.
on. Before I let you go, I will say I remember we were walking the streets in Manhattan. It was me and Sara Talamash and maybe Paul when we got a phone call that you had just won Houston's Funniest 2008.
Yeah!
We celebrated in the streets of New York for you. We were so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Chase. Thank you so much for being a guest. This was wonderful.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you, man. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to share it. I am going to share it and do everything. You guys are amazing.
Do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, squad. Later.
Bye.
Thanks, Chase. He is a lot of fun. What a ball of energy. Man.
Ball of energy. I love how for people who don't watch on YouTube, he was standing on his bed the entire episode, bouncing up and
Jumping
down.
off his bed the whole episode.
It made me feel like I was like, I'm gonna have to pee if you keep doing this. He's just bouncing up and down the whole time. That was awesome. So all I have left to say is next week, the Patreon name that we drew, which was your buddy Jeff Lewis, you guys have decided that we are going to do Destroyer by the Kinks, which makes
finally a Kinks episode.
Yeah,
I never would have thought we'd have got up to almost 60 without doing the Kinks, but here we are. Let's do it.
Yeah, Corbin's been really, really bugging me for that, so he's going to be really happy for that. So, and I'm excited too. It's just you and I, back to just you and I next week. So.
Oh.
Are you ready?
No. Well, I love you, honey bunny.
Oh, I love you, honey bunny.
Vogue.